Howdy, folks. I'm Brawny Brown Bear, blissfully basking beside bubbling brooks.
I'm Amber.
And here are more bubbling brooks for us to lounge beside, bask beside. But it wasn't, it was Reddit all along. Let's get started. All right, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Accepting an Invitation on my husband's behalf that I knew that he wouldn't like and refusing to cancel it? My husband is a busy person, but he's not such a busy person that he can't manage invitations from his family and friends if he wanted to. His family and friends act like I'm responsible for his social calendar, which I don't mind at first because I didn't have anything better to do, but I'm tired of being the one to have to say no to everything, and it's just terrible having to deal with people trying to convince me to come to things when I know they only really care about my husband attending. I've tried to get them to go directly to him, but he just sends them back my way or ignores them, so they come to me anyways. I've spoken to him multiple times about not wanting to be responsible for our social calendar, and he acts like he gets it, but then he never responds to invites, so nothing's ever changed. So I've done something that you guys may or may not think is petty. My mother-in-law has asked for us to join a monthly family dinner with her side of the family. I prefer her side of my husband's family, but my husband is closer to his dad's side, so we see them more. Usually I wouldn't accept an invite like this without checking with my husband first, but since she asked him first and he ignored her, I decided to accept on his behalf. The first dinner is on Sunday, which is the day we were also supposed to have dinner with his grandfather on his dad's side, but he never told me that was happening, and neither did anyone else. His dad's side have a horrible habit of just assuming that we'll be at something because they've told us. Part of me thinks that dinner with his grandfather is a lie because I know that he's been avoiding his half-brother like the plague since he keeps asking for an investment money, and step-siblings will be there. My husband told me to cancel, but I didn't want to because my mother-in-law was so happy when I said yes. Also, his sister will be there, and I haven't seen her in forever. I won't stop him from canceling if he really wants to, but he's turned the situation into a fight because I didn't ask him first, and now I don't want to be the one to cancel. He basically said that if we go to the first one, he expects me to tell my mother-in-law that this won't be a regular thing, but I think that he should be the one to do that since I have no problem having dinner with them regularly. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk, but you need to stop doing this, period. If people come to you asking, just be like, oh, ask husband. He needs to be the one to make the decision.
I mean, I think she just should accept all offers.
Or accept all offers. Yeah, I guess there's that. Like if he doesn't want to do things, he needs to be the one to tell his family no.
Yeah.
He needs to stop trying to make OP do this for him and make OP the quote unquote
The
bad
villain.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the villain. But yeah, I mean, I think that OP should certainly not be the villain in this situation, and he doesn't want to take responsibility for canceling plans, so he's put that responsibility on OP so that everyone has to blame OP when he doesn't show up, right?
Yeah, and then pester OP to try and get her to change her mind.
Yeah, so, and OP didn't mind doing this even at first, but it's just become too much of a burden at this point in time. I think that OP should just blatantly accept all offers and say, look, unless you deal with this, I'm just accepting all the offers, and then you'll have to go to a lot more events. That's plain and simple how it's going to work. So either manage your own calendar or I'll do it for us. And then when you don't show up and I'm showing up by myself and I have to explain why you're not there, that's your problem. So yeah, I think that OP should definitely hold him accountable for his behavior here. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Pictures of Pony says, why does your husband hate his mother? And OP replies, he doesn't hate her. He's just a lot closer to his dad's side. And Mew Kishigo says, then why does he ignore her but not his dad? I don't ignore people that I care about. And OP replies, they're in business together, so he can't ignore his dad as easily. I love that excuse.
Yeah.
And Lord Newington says, not the jerk, but there is any reason that you can't go to his mother's while he goes to his grandfather's. And OP replies, he hasn't seen my mother-in-law in ages, so it would be a bit awkward to go without him, since I know that she misses him, and I don't want to be the person who has to tell her that he chose his grandfather over her. And Uti Lawyer says, not the jerk, apparently your husband has delegated you to the task of being his calendar secretary. He implicitly sent his mother to you when he didn't respond to his mother. If he doesn't like how you are handling your duties as his calendar secretary, he is free to demote you and reassign those responsibilities accordingly. And enough process 9773 says, not the jerk, OP. I came here to say this. Your script is, husband, either I'm in charge of what social invites that we accept or reject, or we both are. I'd be so happy if it was both of us, but so long your responsibilities to any social invitation is either to ignore it so that they contact me instead, or send them my way, it appears that you have made me your calendar secretary by default. You obviously don't have to attend these monthly family dinners, but I'm not going to be in charge of organizing conflicting invitations for family dinners I would like to go to. If you want to say no, it's your job to say no. Mother-in-law says that you ignored her, so she contacted me, and I accepted for both of us. If you want to come up with excuses for not going, then call your mom. I'm not going to. I would also like to point out, before we move on, that they could just have like a Google Calendar that they use to write down events and stuff like that. That way, if he was really going to accept an invite from another, group of people, that he could put it on his calendar and let OP know, right? Or just use words and tell your partner that you're going to an event.
Well, in general, I don't like his communication style. It doesn't seem like he's considering the people around him at all.
All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Will I Be a Jerk If I Tell My Wedding Planning Friend What Her Assistant Did at My Wedding? Hey, y'all, throw away, so I'm trying to be quick here. I'm a 27-year-old female, and I married my best friend, a 28-year-old male, about a month ago. One of my good friends is a wedding planner, and I used her company for the coordinating. She was a guest at the wedding, but had 3 other people from her company work with my husband and I. They were amazing. The whole wedding went perfectly. Not a single complaint about the job the company did. One of the assistants was this guy who looked to be about my age. I didn't give it much thought. This past weekend, I hung out with my friend Clara, a 25-year-old female. This is the first time that we are seeing each other since my wedding. Clara told me a quote-unquote funny story about my wedding. She said a few days after my wedding, she received an Instagram follow and message from someone she didn't know. The gist of the message was that it was from the assistant coordinator at my wedding. He pretty much said that he was working and couldn't say anything, but he noticed her at the wedding and thought that she was really beautiful, and he wanted to ask her on a date. She asked how he found her, and he proudly said that he noticed her, looked her up in the seating chart of the table that she was seated at for dinner, and then looked up every girl at the table until he found her. She said that she wasn't comfortable with that and blocked him. She told me that it was funny in hindsight, but at the time, she felt a little uncomfy. Clara did emphasize to me that she didn't think that it was a big deal. Would I be the jerk if I told my wedding planning friend about what happened? She will most likely report him to the head of the company, and maybe he will or maybe he won't be fired. I don't know if I'm being vindictive or not. It doesn't sit right with me that we paid a guy to do a job and then he ended up stalking and DMing my friend. All right, folks, what do you think?
There is something in the comments too where OP's friend specifies that she doesn't want to be involved if OP pursues this.
Yeah.
So my biggest concern is finding a way to do this that doesn't bring her into this mess.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree that what he did is inappropriate and unprofessional, and it is important information for his boss to have. But since OP's friend was the direct target of this, and he now has her personal information, I would be careful about how you proceed with this in a way where he can't retaliate against her or make things bad for her.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's a lot of factors here that I think that make this one a really difficult and challenging one. OP says in the comments that the seating plan was potentially out in the open, so he could have used the seating plan from the wedding to look up her information, right? Now, I think this is a bit of a gray area, right? Because if that's public and open information at the wedding, then that is something that he could have used to find her, and maybe not as creepy as using private information from the company to find her, right?
Yeah, but it still does show a lack of tact,
Yeah.
to be spending time when he's on the job looking up people on Instagram.
Well, and then also, like, he was there to do a job, not look people up at the company, right? And maybe he didn't know better, and maybe this was one of those situations where he didn't think it was that big of a deal, but the only reason why he was introduced to her or was able to look up her contact information was because of his position at the job. And so I think that that really makes things a little bit difficult and makes things a little complicated. But, I mean, again, like, this isn't the worst offense in the world. It's not like he, tried to meet her in person or follow her around or any number of things. He looked up information and tried to find her. Um, Still, I think, still inappropriate. I still think it's something that should be addressed, and I think that the employer should know about this, if anything, just to explain to them that they can't be doing that, and that this is inappropriate. And because who knows who they might do this to next, right?
Right. Because if this is a job he's working at for a long time, he will likely pull the same thing on other weddings if people don't like set him straight and make it clear not to do this.
Yeah, so I think it's really important just to let him know that it's inappropriate, and even if he doesn't get in trouble beyond, a verbal reprimand, being like, you just can't do this, right? I think that it would be good for everyone involved, right? And again, like you said, you do have to consider the friend in their position here, because like they might be worried for their own safety to some degree, right?
Right. And, she told Opie this kind of in confidence. And that's where this gets really thorny for me is like, it seems like she's not interested in having this blow up into a big thing. And, the last thing that needs to happen is to have the person who's the victim in all of this get burned and, potentially suffer worse repercussions.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Disabled and Mad says, as a former wedding planner, I would want to know what happened. If he's an assistant to your friend, then she needs to know. He's a liability to the company and completely unprofessional and inappropriate. There is probably something in his contract about guests anyways. If he's not your friend's assistant, ask her who in the company is in charge of the HR or the best person to talk to about the problem at your wedding. Up to you if you want to tell her that. The third and best option would be to have Clara report him to the company. But they need to know that he is a problem before something worse happens. That could be a lawsuit. Maybe he just needs some coaching. Maybe this has been happened before and it's a repeated problem. Do not just forget it. This is not a funny story. And OP replies, I'm thinking of just telling my friend who works there, and whatever she wants to do, she can do. Clara has said that she does not want any involvement at all. And C Wolf 1312 says, not the jerk, and a lot of people would have an issue with a stranger using their company to find your private information. Dude could have walked up and asked at the end of the wedding to be less creepy, but decided to illegally get a woman's information instead. And OP replies, is it actually illegal to do what he did? I'm not a law or privacy expert. And Jesse Colt says, by law, probably not. Company policy, if the company is halfway decent, then yes. Information obtained through the job, especially about people, should be held in confidence and be used strictly for the company itself to provide the service that it offers. For someone to use information that was only available as a result of ongoing business with the company for outside reasons, including personal reasons, should always be considered a breach of ethics. And OP replies, you're right. I'm positive that behavior would be against the policy for any wedding or event planning company. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for lecturing my daughter for paying someone to do her chores? I'm a single dad with a 15-year-old. We live in an area where we get a lot of snow every winter. Around the time that she was 11, I taught her how to shovel, and usually we do it together. We have a decent-sized driveway and a walkway. Sometimes, if it's too icy, I'll do the whole thing myself. Over the weekend, we got some unexpected snow while I was at work. I called my daughter and I asked that she shovel out a bit of the driveway so that I'll have room to park and get out the next day, as well as shovel the walkways and steps. She said yes, and when I came home, the entire driveway was shoveled and the walkway and steps were cleared perfectly. I thanked her and I said that she did a good job. Since then, she told me that when she went out to shovel, she saw our neighbor, who's a couple of years older than her, and he was shoveling his walkway. She offered him $40 of her own money to shovel, and he accepted. I told her that I had asked her to shovel, not the neighbor, and it was something assigned to her. She asked what the big deal was, as it got done. She also pointed out that when she has her own house someday, she can just as easily pay someone to do it, so she doesn't have to do it. I told her that she wasn't in trouble, but the next time it snowed that she was going to have to help me shovel, and moving forward, if I asked her to do it, that she was expected to do it. She seemed a little disappointed, but I didn't argue. I was talking to my mom about the situation and told me that I completely overreacted. and pointed out that my daughter has a point. The job got done, and it shouldn't matter how it gets done as long as it is done, and that the neighbor kid willingly did it, which I confirmed with him later, and that he was happy to do it for some extra cash. My mom said that I should have praised my daughter's initiative. So now I'm left wondering if I am the jerk for lecturing my daughter on this situation. Edit to those asking, she got the money from babysitting. She works for a different neighbor twice a week and is paid $18 an hour. We've had talks about the money constantly over the years, ever since she was old enough to receive birthday and Christmas money, and decided how to spend it. She knows the value of the dollar, that once you spend the money, it's gone, and to think before you buy. She says to her it was worth the $40. And to those asking why it bugged me, I thank you because I wasn't even sure myself. I think that I just want to make sure that she has these skills, but I also understand people's points. That she has the skill and she can now decide to use it if she's in a situation like this again. Update, I want to thank everyone who talked some sense into me. You all were right. It really doesn't matter how it gets done. As well as the fact that yes, there are times that I contract out work of my own. So it's unfair to expect otherwise of her. One of my main priorities is that she's able to do things on her own. I won't always be around to help her, and I want her to be independent. But I realize now that this was her being independent and getting something done, just in a different way. I spoke with her and I apologized for lecturing her. I also added that I was proud of her for taking initiative and explained why I reacted the way that I did. Additionally, I thanked her for getting it done, regardless of how it was done. She forgave me and everything is good now. We did have another talk about money, but she insists that that's how she wanted to spend it. So I'm going to leave it alone for now. But she says that she appreciates me admitting that I was wrong. I told her next time that she can either hire the neighbor to do it again or herself. I don't really care as long as it's what we both want. Some people have said that I should force her to put the money into savings. She already puts a good amount away on her own. I'm going to continue to let her decide what works for her. Also, to those going to either extremes that either one, I was wrong for having her shovel because she's a girl, or two, assuming that I'm only making her do chores and expecting her to do them herself because she's a girl, you're wrong. I do everything that I ask her to do, and I also occasionally contract out tasks. I don't care if she does it in the future. This was a genuine mistake on my part and not anything malicious where I expect more or less of my daughter because she's a girl. All right, folks, what do you think?
Well, I'm glad OP came around on this one. I do think his initial reaction was a little over the top. She was able to ensure the work got done, and it was done well enough to everyone's liking. I think that she took initiative, and I think that's a really good thing she's learning. And I get OP's point about wanting her to have skills. Skills are important, but she's getting a new skill in contracting when she did this, and weighing the value to her staying inside was worth more than the $40. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it kind of boils down to at the end of the day, right? I mean, you have to decide how you spend your money. And if you want to contract out your work, then you can contract out your work, right? And sometimes there are going to be cases where you're either too busy or you just don't have, the energy or any number of things to do something like this, right? Or maybe you are in a health situation where you can't do something like this, right? So it's important to be able to teach her how to get help without necessarily doing things on her own too, right? And I mean, I actually really appreciate his philosophy here of being like, well, I want to make sure she has the skills to succeed in life. Because there's a lot of parents who just kind of like, you turn 18 and they're like, you gotta figure it out now on your own, right?
Yeah, expect kids to magically become adults. Poof.
Yeah. So I think that OP seems like a really good father. I mean, they did, I feel like, overreacted, but they apologized.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is I think he handled the situation very well. When he got feedback that he was, in the wrong, he was able to apologize to his daughter, and that's a really important thing for parents to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's important for kids to see that their parents make mistakes and that they are okay with owning up to them.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a very, very funny joke. I'm laughing at it as we speak, while she frantically flips to the correct page.
What might you call dapper sweets?
What would I call dapper sweets? I would call them gentlemanly sweets.
Dandy candy.
Oh, dandy candies. I was kind of close to
You
that.
were, yeah.
I was a little.
And today is decorating with candy day.
Oh, So make sure to go find yourself some candy, glue them to the side of your house, and hope that little children don't come up to it and eat it.
Yeah, that's maybe not the best idea there.
Yes. And I have Mega Mint. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Spectacular Saturday, folks. I hope your Saturday is off to a spectacular start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on chores/jobs types things.
It's good to have life skills in all kinds of household tasks, and it's also good to know when to delegate those tasks.
Yes, so if your social calendar is very busy, make sure to delegate that off to your loved ones.
Yeah, no.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.